Good morning, children. Welcome to the virtual session of Chapter 2 Microorganisms Friend and Foe. So, in this, let us have a quick revision or recap of what we have done about contagious diseases in a previous session. So, with the handshake, with the human contacts, you can see, and by with other carriers, you can see the diseases which can spread. So, through air, you can have tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox, polio. Waterborne diseases, you will have cholera, typhoid, polio, hepatitis A. And food, with food, the mode of transmission, cholera can spread, and then contact, chickenpox, and mosquito, you will have malaria. Next, microorganism and us. Some microorganisms are beneficial to us while others are harmful and cause disease. So you have learned this in your previous session. I hope you are writing points given here. So please make a note of all the points discussed in the session in your notebook very neatly, children. So again is a recap of what we have done. So uses of microorganisms, preparation of curd, bread and cake, as you all know, production of alcohol, wine and acetic acid, preparation of medicines and vaccines, cleaning up the environment, increasing soil fertility. Harmful effects of microbes cause diseases in plants, animals and human beings, as you all know, and it spoil food and cause food poisoning. So please draw this flowchart in your notebook very neatly. If you have not done so, kindly draw it. Now, food spoilage. Food spoilage caused due to bacteria and fungi. So, fungi again one of the microorganism which spoil food. So over here, main conditions required for food spoilage. Here you have moderately warm temperature, air and moisture. So these are the factors which actually responsible for food spoilage. So please take down this in your notebook. Produce poisonous substances which make food unfit for consumption. Consumption of such food causes food poisoning. So one should never have stale food because it will cause food poisoning. It will disturb your stomach. That's why better to throw away stale food. Please take down this in your book. Now detecting food spoilage. How you detect food is spoiled. Here you can see some pictures of spoiled food. It will give foul, foul odor, as slimy surface or cottony growth. That cottony growth is due to fungi. Surface discoloration, sour taste, gas formation. So presence of one or more than one of these will indicate the food spoilage. Please take down these points in your notebook. Next, now since food spoils, so if you want to increase the shelf life of food, we can have some method to preserve food. So here we will see some food preservation methods. The process of treating and handling food with an aim to stop or slow down its spoilage while maintaining its nutritional value, texture and flavor, done by creating unfavorable conditions for growth of microorganisms. So you have to create an unfavorable condition for the growth of microorganism. This is one of the way you can prevent food spoilage. That is a way of preserving food. Next, it involves methods that kill or prevent growth and reproduction of microorganisms. So please take down these points in your notebook. Next, you will have boiling. Now, what help that does boiling gives to preserve food? Let us see. Boiling liquids, um, food items like kills any harmful microbes present in them. Example, liquid you will have milk and water. So milk and water you can boil because there are harmful microbes in water which can harm your body, which can make you ill. So we should boil water and drink. Milk also gets spoiled if you keep it for longer period of time, and if it is not preserved properly, then it will get spoiled. Dehydration, removal of water from food items, like example cereal pulses. So cereal pulses, what they do, removal of water from food items, because this is one of the factor which will spoil food. So you have to make it dry, so it will increase the shelf life. So cereal have a good shelf life, you can keep it for a longer period of time. Next, refrigeration and freezing. So, here refrigeration, microbes like bacteria, fungi, etc. cannot thrive in low temperature. So, this will help us to preserve food. When fresh fruits, vegetables are frozen, what happened? Water present in them freezes too. So, water content is there in fresh fruits, vegetables. You all agree to this. So, when you freeze them, you in a frozen form, what happened? Water will also freeze. This prevents microbial growth, thereby preserving food at low temperatures. Meat and vegetables you preserve through refrigeration and freezing. I hope you are writing, children. Next, canning. Canning again is nowadays is very oftenly used. Canning. The food is stored in airtight conditions. Due to the absence of air, microbial growth does not take place. So here you have to store food in an airtight container. So in that condition, you are cutting the contact of the food with the air, because in the air you have microbes. So cutting down the contact, and you have an airtight container that will preserve food like jams. Then you have vegetables, fish, and cooked food. Next, chemical preservatives. So there are some preservatives. These are chemicals actually, which will help the food to stay for longer time. So where it is used, let us see. Preservatives are substances that helps to preserve food or any other substance. These chemicals control microbial growth. So this will help to control the microbial growth, because they are chemicals and they will prevent the growth of microorganisms in the food. So there are chemicals, example here, sodium benzoate, potassium metabisulfite in squashes, sharbat and ketchups. So these are the chemicals, they are called as preservatives. I hope you all are writing in your notebook, children. Again, chemical method, there are various chemical methods. Under this you are going to learn um, in food preservation. Under chemical method, food like pickles can be preserved by using chemicals like salt and edible oils, because oil will cut down the contact of food with air. So edible oil can be, you put excess of oil, like in pickles you have excess of oil, so that it cut down the contact with air, and also will help to prevent its spoilage. So pickles, lots of oil is added. Jams and squashes can be preserved by using sodium benzoate, sodium metabisulfite. These chemicals are called preservatives, which we have done just now, we have discussed. So please take down these points, children. And next, under this you are going to learn by using common salt. Food items like fish, meat, amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. can be preserved by using common salt. It prevents the growth of microbes. So common salt is a very good preservative, because it will not allow the microbes to grow in that food. So we have discussed just now the food which we can preserve with the help of common salt. By using sugar, food items like jams, jellies, squashes, etc. can be preserved by using sugar solution. It prevents the growth of microbes. So again, it will stop or prevent the growth of microbes. By using oil and vinegar, vinegar again is a very good food preservative. It will not allow microbes to grow. Food items like pickles, vegetables, fish, meat, etc. are preserved by using oil and vinegar. It prevents the growth of microbes. By heat and cold treatment. So temperature plays a very important role, one of the very important factor in food preservation, because microbes will survive in an optimal level of the temperature. They have a range of temperature in which they survive. So that range of temperature, if you manipulate, you can use, is one of the factor to preserve food. So by heat and cold treatment, heating food items kills microbes. Similarly, storing food item at low temperature prevents the growth of microbes. So here you are manipulating, because here temperature plays a very important role in food preservation. microbes will grow in a certain range of temperature. The temperature is very low, they will be killed, or they will not grow, or temperature is very high, they will not grow. Pasteurization. Under this food preservation, you have a very important process, pasteurization. This process is the process of heating milk to 70 degrees for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilling it to prevent the growth of microbes. It's called pasteurization. That means again you are manipulating the temperature here and you are skipping the temperature at which microbes will grow. So when you heat it and you bring down the temperature suddenly, what will happen? It will prevent the growth of microbes. So this is called pasteurization, and this process was discovered by Louis Pasteur. So now by storage and packing, many food items are stored in airtight container to protect them from microbes. This is the picture for storage and packing. So the way you pack food also is extremely important. If you prevent air contact, you can increase the shelf life of food. You can see various products over here, how they are stored, how they are kept, how they are being packed, and packing really helps to increase the shelf life. Pasteurization, discovered in 19th century by Louis Pasteur. Please take down this point in your notebooks. These points are extremely important for pasteurization. You should know what exactly pasteurization is. And pasteurization, food is heated to a high temperature and then cooled rapidly, as we discussed. It destroys harmful microbes without changing the composition, flavor or nutritive value of the food. One very important point over here for pasteurization, it will not change the composition, neither it will change the flavor or nutritive value. So that is very extremely important, because if you are processing the food and it change the composition or the flavor or the nutritive value, then it doesn't serve the purpose. So pasteurization is done over here without changing all these factors. So now over here you see milk is first heated to a high temperature for about a minute and then cooled rapidly. It is then stored at 10 degrees Celsius. So that is pasteurization. Thank you, children. Here we end for the session. Have a nice day, children.
Microbes are very small living organisms that can be seen only by microscope, which magnifies their image so we can see them. Microorganisms occur in an amazing variety of shapes and sizes, and they are divided into one of 5 groups: bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoa, and algae. Bacteria are found in every habitat on Earth, for example, rock, oceans, and even Arctic snow. Bacterial cells are also found in the lining of intestinal tract. Some bacteria live in the soil or on dead plant matter, where they play an important role in the cycling of nutrients. The other microorganisms are viruses. They can be filamentous, helical, complex, spherical, and icosahedral in shape. Viruses are minute organisms virtually found in every ecosystem on Earth. A virus is a microscopic organism that can replicate only inside the cells of a host organism. Fungi can be single-celled or very complex multicellular organisms. They are found in any habitat, but most live on the land, mainly in soil or on plant material. A group called the decomposers grows in the soil or on dead plant matter, where they play an important role in the cycling of carbon and other elements. Protozoa are single-celled organisms. They are found in different shapes and sizes, ranging from an amoeba, which can change its shape, to paramecium, with its fixed shape and complex structure. They are mostly found in moist habitats, including freshwater, marine environments, and the soil. Algae can exist either as single cells, example Chlamydomonas, or joined together in chains like Spirogyra, or made up of many cells. Most algae live in fresh or seawater where they can either be free-floating, planktonic, or attached to the bottom. Some algae can grow on rocks or soil as long as there is enough moisture. A few algae form very close partnerships with fungi to form lichens. Microorganisms play a very important role in our lives. Some microbes cause disease, but the majorities are completely harmless and are useful in pharmaceutical and baking industry.